Imagine this. A calm day suddenly transformed into a nightmare of raging waters. Torrents of rain pouring down, rivers swelling beyond control, homes, streets, and lives swept away in the blink of an eye. This is the scene unfolding across Central Europe as Poland, the Czech Republic, and Austria face some of the most devastating floods in recent memory. Asterisk. The death toll is rising, entire towns are submerged, and the battle to contain these destructive waters feels like an uphill fight against nature's most unforgiving side. Stick around as we unravel the stories of those caught in the eye of the storm. Welcome to our breakdown of the European floods sweeping through Poland, the Czech Republic, and Austria. In southwestern Poland, the situation is dire. Flooding over the weekend has left vast regions devastated, and on Sunday, authorities confirmed the first casualty, a heartbreaking reminder of the severity of the situation. Kłodzko County has been hit the hardest, a region already scarred by historic flooding back in 1997. Back then, 56 lives were lost across the country. Now, 27 years later, the local river in Kłodzko has surpassed its previous record of over 6 meters, triggering widespread panic. Prime Minister Donald Tusk described the scene in Kłodzko as dramatic, with much of the town underwater. Emergency services are stretched thin as firefighters, soldiers, and volunteers rush to protect infrastructure and save lives. The town of Gleaned, near the Czech border, saw the collapse of a historic bridge, despite desperate efforts to fortify it with sandbags and stone. Days of battling the rising water were lost in a matter of moments as the structure gave way under the pressure. The floodwaters have not spared critical infrastructure either. In Stanislavski, a dam was breached, exacerbating the already deadly conditions. Jegor Wojciechowski from the Institute of Meteorology and Water Management stressed, "This is no longer a dramatic situation. This is a tragedy." Helicopters circle overhead, plucking residents from rooftops as the floodwaters continue to rise. Emergency services are working around the clock, but as Wojciechowski indicated, the water levels have reached a point where even the best-laid plans are crumbling under nature's force. The deployment of military personnel is underway, and further evacuations are expected as dozens of rivers swell past their alarm levels. While the skies above Poland have begun to clear, the threat is far from over. The damage to infrastructure, homes, and livelihoods is catastrophic. But Poland is not alone in this battle. Neighboring countries are also fighting back against the floods. Moving just across the border to the Czech Republic, the story grows even darker. On Sunday morning, police confirmed that 4 people remain missing. One man was swept away by floodwaters in the southeast, and 3 others were caught in their car when it was carried away by the river in Lipovolast, a northeastern town hit hard by the floods. The flooding has cut off essential services for hundreds of thousands of Czech residents. Power companies EZ and E.ON reported that more than 260,000 households woke up on Sunday morning without electricity. Moravian Silesia, an eastern region, suffered the worst power outage, with over 114,000 customers affected. In the town of Kernov, thousands were evacuated as large parts of the town, including its center, were submerged. The Opava River surged dramatically from 1 meter to nearly 5 meters, prompting a 3rd-level flood alert. The scene is both eerie and tragic as entire communities, once vibrant, are now underwater, and residents can only wait to assess the full scale of the damage once daylight breaks. Transportation has ground to a halt, with flooding severely impacting road and rail travel. More than 40 sections of railway tracks are closed, particularly in the Jeseniko area, and the Prague-Ostrava rail corridor at Studenka station has been heavily affected. In Brno, the Czech Republic's second-largest city, the Brothers of Mercy Hospital had to evacuate over 180 patients. The The hospital's management scrambled to move patients to other facilities as floodwaters threatened the already stretched resources of the city's emergency responders. The last few days have seen firefighters battling nearly 6,000 separate incidents across the country, from fallen trees and power lines to overflowing rivers that have swallowed roads, villages, and entire neighborhoods. The village of Mikulovice, home to around 2,500 people, has been almost entirely cut off, its houses and roads flooded beyond recognition. As the water rises, so does the tension. The Czech authorities are in a race against time to locate the missing, restore power, and prevent further loss of life as the Opava River continues to wreak havoc. Austria, too, is grappling with this natural disaster. On Sunday, tragedy struck as a firefighter lost his life during a rescue operation in Lower Austria. Vice-Chancellor Werner Kogler took to social media to express his condolences, calling the region a disaster area. The Vienna River, usually a serene waterway, became a force of destruction as it rose from 50 centimeters to a staggering 2.26 meters. Houses along the river were flooded, with some only accessible by boat. Streets in the Penzing district were submerged under a meter of water, and in some areas, emergency divers were deployed in case evacuations became necessary. Authorities in Vienna scrambled to control the floodwaters, but the situation was deteriorating quickly. The catch basins designed to absorb excess water were already full, and the river began flowing unchecked into the city center. Critical subway lines were impacted, forcing Wienerlinien to suspend services on the U4, U6, and U3 lines. Entire sections of the city's public transport network were cut off, causing chaos for commuters. Subway tunnels had to be sealed off with dam beams and sandbags, and construction sites were abandoned as the water levels rose dangerously high. In total, more than 1,100 operations were carried out in Vienna within just a few hours, with firefighters working tirelessly to remove fallen trees, drain flooded basements, and rescue residents trapped by the rising waters. Concerts were still being held in the city, much to the outrage of locals. As floodwaters swept through streets and homes, social media erupted with criticism of events continuing despite warnings to avoid unnecessary travel. The sentiment was clear: lives and safety must take precedence over entertainment. As we watch these floods sweep through Poland, the Czech Republic, and Austria, one thing is clear: nature can be relentless and unforgiving. Emergency services are working tirelessly to mitigate the damage, but the scale of the disaster is overwhelming. Homes have been lost, lives have been taken, and the road to recovery will be long and difficult. For now, the priority remains survival, evacuating those in danger, restoring power, and finding the missing. These floods serve as a stark reminder of how fragile our cities and infrastructure are when faced with the sheer power of nature. Stay safe, stay informed, and as always, thank you for watching.